decide to say good afternoon to you unless we have an 8 hours time difference. And thank you so much for joining me online. I will definitely choose to meet you offline if I can. Well, could you please say hello to our audience? My professor gonna be only one audience.
Well, hi, thank you for inviting me to have this conversation. And hello, everyone. I'm Ru, a member from the SEE Foundation. I now take charge of the SEE website editing and plan some activities for SEE.
Welcome. And before we start, a little hands-off we're gonna do for English conversation.
Okay.
Well, in 2004, a group of Karachi people traveled to Inner Mongolia and witnessed something that changed their mind. So could you please paint the picture for us?
Okay, well, when those entrepreneurs visited the Alexa Desert region, they saw firsthand how desertification was destroying local livelihood. Well, even though I wasn't there, but I know something about their background. Like they turned this the environment that turned this farmland into the sand. Communities forced to relocate, and some traditional ways of life disappearing, like for example the fisherman. Well, but what struck me most, struck them most, was that it wasn't just an environmental problem. It's actually a lack of awareness of climate and environment. Well, and they noticed that the local communities, they don't have this access to knowledge about sustainable management, and also there was no platform for them to learn. So that's understandable. So before we start this environmental protection, it's just not just about planting trees or creating reserves. It's basically about learning together and plant this kind of awareness to the local people.
So your mission was about building learning community from day one?
Yeah, you can call it like learning community, or you can call it like learning platform. And we start with some simple belief that people are supposed to understand the connection between their actions and environment. They need to know that their livelihood and environment, they are like closely connected to each other. And over the 20 years, we have evolved from desert restoration work into a national platform. Then now we have this 26 regional environmental projects in China, and 8 foundations, and over, I think it's like 600 entrepreneurs members.
Wow, that's incredible. And I understand that you're not just focused on desert. Your work spans wetland education, right? Could you please expand a bit on those?
Yeah, it looks like you did some homework before you start. Well, when we continue our desert work, we expanded to environmental learning, and which can make a difference, especially to the mindset. Like we did something in the coastal wetlands, urban communities, rural schools, and youth leadership program. Like we hired, or we invited some volunteers to our program, and also like train them into the leaders, something like that.
That's very impressive. There are indeed so many practical works. Your group runs several major programs. Could you walk me through the key programs and what makes them effective, you think, or we say workable?
Yeah, of course, I would love to. I think I have 3 programs in mind I want to talk about. Well, I think the first would be our natural education program. This is absolutely what we do now, and I believe that experiencing nature isn't just like recreational. It's not like just for fun. It's like transformational. Through our East Sea Project Center, we created program like the One Moment Logic public exhibition series, and this I think there were like 10 million people online and plus offline took part in this exhibition series, and also like from mountains to oceans and also cities, we did all that like this distant ecosystem, and we introduced those kind of thing to the people.
So you are literally bringing network to where people are?
Yeah, exactly. Like we're doing this through like art exhibition, celebrity, and interactive experience. Like we do this workshop, and we post this online, and people would sign up. And since 2018, I think we have held 30 plus exhibition with major institutions like Shanghai Science and Technology Museum and something like Natural History Museum. Yeah.
Wow, you have this partnership with museum in Shanghai. Now I'm so excited about your second one.
Well, our second one, I think I would put wetland and biodiversity protection. Well, particularly through our work at Chongming, Dongtang. And this is located in East Asia. It's a critical route for millions of migratory birds. We reopened the Dongtang Bird Science Education Base after 2021, I think, with this upgraded facilities and program, and we serve a lot of visitors. I think it's up to like 70 hundreds. But it's not just about education. We also like have this practical conversation work, and through our another project, it's called like clean wetlands. It started in 2019, and we invited like up to 3,000 volunteers to remove tons of marine plastic waste, and we're employing like these former fishermen as wetland guardians who now protect it, and this is my favorite part.
Okay, freshman to environmental protectors. I never heard about that. It's like addressing both environmental and livelihood issues at the same time.
Yeah, precisely. And we don't just remove the waste. We like recycle it into like reusable products like bags and t-shirts.
It's very creative. I think I would start my action on this one.
Yeah, of course you could. Well, and my third is the grassroots leadership and the volunteering project. We established the SE Volunteer Alliance. Now we have this well-trained volunteers, and we're not just like inviting them here to get to know this our project and get to know this environmental protection. We also train them into a trainer. Yeah, we run this program like Jintao Carnival, and which is like traveling natural history museum, and we invite those like volunteers here to know something about it, something about how it operates and about its history, and now we have this program reached to like 98 million people, like online and offline, of course.
So, contributing your own army, like training leaders who then could help to train others. So it's like a learning ecosystem.
Yeah, you can call it a learning ecosystem where everyone can find their entry point into this environmental action.
Well, let's dig deeper into what makes this work. What core values guide SEE Foundation, and how do you measure whether you're actually making a difference?
Well, I think I will put our value also into three parts. I think the first would be this sharing learning. About sharing learning, we firstly see this sustainability is not like awareness to be planted into people's mind. People just stay on this shallow level that they know that environmental protection is like planting trees and like don't throw away those waste. But it's not just like this. A social learning process that actually requires everyone's participation and this awareness of the importance of environmental protection, or we can call it collective responsibility, which means that it's not just the government's job or NGO's job or organization's job to make this work. It's actually everyone should take part in it. teachers, students, youth, urban residents, and communities.
And how does that translate into measurable impact?
Well, I think when we start this learning ecosystem or with a platform, we measure impact both quantitatively and qualitatively. Well, because the number alone doesn't tell the whole story. Well, quantitatively speaking, we can see the results that there are like up to like I mentioned 7,000 no 7,300 people they educated at our downtown facility since 2021, and tons of plastic waste removed from wetlands, and over 10 million people reached through our exhibition, and of course I mean online and offline, and through our project on desert restoration. There are a million people they took part in this kind of this one, and they planted millions of trees. They're now stabilizing the desert ecosystem, and that's the quantitative one, the mindset shift. That's what really matters.
Can you give me an example of that mindset shift?
Yeah, sure. Well, we can see this impact. It's very obvious. Like we see this residents, they shift from viewing the protected area as a restriction on their activity to say it as a resource. It's like a source of community pride and identity. They are proud to show people that in their hometown they have this kind of change and this kind of transformation, and also for those fishermen, like I mentioned, this is my best favorite part. They actually, in the first place, they felt resentful. I will put that word about the environmental degradation took their livelihood tools. But now we invite them to participate in our project as a guardian. Which makes the environment kind of give them a job, and also they nowadays teach their children about bird conservation and environmental protection, something like that. And also in cities like those urban areas, we watched those young professionals and young people, students, they attend our exhibition and lectures to learn something about the knowledge in this field, like how to reduce their plastic consumption and what's the root problem of it. Not just they're not just like stop throwing away waste. They kind of know what how corporate interest related to this one, and they learn something about the environmental policy in their workplace. Yeah, I think that would be the mindset shift.
Mm-hmm. So you're seeing people internalize environmental values as part of who they are?
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially I can see the change, especially in young people. They are truly like transformative. Like it change not just what people know, it's how they see this environment and themselves. They can see the connection between themselves and the nature.
What have been SEE's biggest challenges, and how did you deal with it?
Well, good question. When I look back on past years, I would say that there not that much participation in the first place. But we noticed that we start from the urban area. They tend to have higher engagement than smaller towns. We have to admit that. Well, people in cities, they often have more resources or access to environmental knowledge. So we developed these regionally tailored strategies. That works. Just something works in cities, they don't necessarily work in towns, and also vice versa. Something works in town that doesn't really seems necessary work in cities.
I totally agree with that. Different area has a different problem to solve. How do you tailor your approach?
Well, in rural areas, we focus more on connecting environmental protection to local livelihood and cultural traditions. That would more like relate. The local people would feel more relate if we start with this action. and also in urban areas, we start these lectures and do these global connections, and also we like provide these individual lifestyle choices. We make it looks interesting. It's about speaking the language each community understands.
What's your second strategy?
Let me think. It would be funding, I think, because it's like a long-term investment. And also you don't see this immediate returns, and we're more like this NGO foundation. So it takes years of consistent efforts to change mindsets and behaviors, and also many our donors, they want this quick, visible results. But as long as we are in this environmental protection, it's almost impossible to see this immediate revenue. And we try to apply for financial support from local government and partnership with corporation, and also from some of our activities, we actually make some profit from selling recycled clothes and bags.
Yeah, I love that ideas that you are not like profit driving. You are making it more sustainable by collecting some money from it and save it into your green funding.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can say that, and that's our original thoughts. But it's actually some voices against us also use this as their weapon to throw mud at us, accusing us of like greenwashing and profit driving, blah blah blah.
Oh my god, what's the intention of doing that?
I don't know, maybe we're getting in the way of their action. I cannot judge, but sure that we're like affecting their work, I think.
How do you manage those hateful comments out of the nowhere?
We can't control people's comments. It's their decision to make. What we can do is to prove ourselves by doing and show the results and reviews from the locals.
That's the wise moving dealing with it. Well, then let's talk about the policy. How do national and international policies shape your work?
Well, about policy, like we of course don't operate in only by ourselves. We work within a framework with national strategy and also this international commitment. And within China, we align with China's ecological civilization framework, and it becomes our kind of like guideline, or we say guiding philosophy for our environmental governance. And we also support the Beautiful China initiative, and it has this huge relationship between people and the nature. And also lately we of course draw on the dog carbon goals in China. And the main goal in this one is to achieve carbon peak by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. And our desert restoration work, for example, it's like directly close to this one.
Oh, so you are translating these big national goals into local action?
Yeah, exactly. Like for our work at Dongtan Wetland, this site is already dominated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site as part of the Yellow Sea Bohai Gulf wetland system. I'm very proud of that. That's already a global designation, and it was supported by national policy, and also the environment and the local government in Shanghai. And we are helping implement those policy on through community education, volunteer programs, and we try to make the general public to know about this kind of policy, that we are not alone. We are like supported by our country, our government, and they issue this kind of policy to support our work. Yeah, and we also the policy also support our work in schools, and like for example, our education work supports the Ministry of Education's Green School Action Plan, and then this kind of school that like they have already like integrate this kind of environmental education into their teaching.
What about international frameworks?
Well, if we take up to international, when we say global policy, I think there would be UN Sustainable Development Goal. To be specific, there are SDG 4 on quality education and SDG 15 on life and land. I don't know if you have heard about that. SDG 13 on climate action. And these global goals, they provide this direction and guideline for our work. They help us connect with some international partners. They are also work in this field. And we also follow UNESCO's Education for Sustainable Development framework. This framework actually emphasizes that education education is not just convey the message, convey the knowledge. It's also like transform the students, the learners, transform their theory to action, to put into society and their community.
It sounds like you're planning your work in different areas and level at the same time, local, national, and global. And does this policy actually help you on the ground?
Yeah, it does helpful. Like at least in the first place when it issued, it appears very supporting in the spirit way, and also when it comes to actual deed, it actually opened doors. The government, they are more willing to partner with us. We can apply this funding from the government, and we have to admit that it's, to be honest, government actually, they work with us. It also helped them to build their own personnel. And the schools, they are more willing than the past days to take part in our program, to integrate this environmental knowledge into their teaching. And also companies, donors, or we say investors, they see this opportunity here in about environment, because this is aligned with the national priority. So it's actually create a very supportive context for our work.
Yeah, it's really something that needs everyone to take part in. Like, for instance, organization, government, it have to be a joint effort to make it work.
Yeah, right. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, I have so many takeaways from this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you for inviting, and also I'm more than happy to share. And I hope it somehow help people to get to know our team.
Of course.
Bye.